Hi everyone, I'm Miriam from the YouTube channel Variety Girl 1, and today I'm going to show you how to draw a chevron pattern. To start, line up the 0 on a ruler with the edge of your paper, and then draw little marks in pencil every inch along the ruler going up the paper. Then move the ruler to another spot along the same edge of the paper, and again draw marks at every half an inch. Then line up your ruler with each set of 2 marks and draw a line. This line should go all the way across the paper. And this is going to be one of the main guidelines for drawing the chevron evenly. Even if you're just going to sketch the chevron freehand, I would recommend at least having some lines like that. So now for the other guidelines, you're going to draw little dots every 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and then connect those dots diagonally so that one end touches the edge of the paper and then the other is going to touch the mark on the line above it, like that. And then we'll draw another little mark 1/4 of an inch in, and then the one line is going to go diagonally to the corner of the paper and the other one will connect like that. So you're going to be drawing lines 1/4 of an inch apart that are diagonal in opposite directions for each row. So now I'll draw more little ticks that are 1/4 of an inch apart and go along and line up my ruler with each of those lines we started with, and then I'll connect those little marks with the diagonal lines. And this will just be for one, I don't know whether to call it a stripe or maybe zigzag works better, so let's go with zigzag. So to draw one zigzag, this is what we're doing. I decided to switch to a clear ruler so that it would be easier to see the lines that I was making. But this ruler was unfortunately broken, so I didn't use it to start with. And then I switched to a thin Sharpie to make my lines after I had these guidelines, and just went over them with the thin Sharpie. I also put a paper underneath the one I was drawing on because the Sharpie can bleed through, and I've had it to the point where it bled through so much that the table I was working on got Sharpie on it somehow. So then after we draw the guidelines of the zigzag, we're going to fill it in with a regular Sharpie. You could use the thin tip, it would just take a little longer, so I switched to a thicker one. You could also use the thicker one to connect the lines, but I think then you don't get as precise of the corners as you would otherwise. Another good thing about having a paper underneath is then if you color in over the edge, you don't get on your table either. So then to draw the next zigzag, I'm going to draw a little mark 1/4 of an inch apart going off of the first zigzag. And there's going to be a white zigzag and then a black zigzag. But I'm going to draw it the same way, almost if there was nothing in between. I mean, it's kind of like a optical illusion in a way, because even if you're drawing just 2 zigzags now, after you draw it, there'll be a third one in between. So depending on how you look at it, I drew it in sets of lines instead of one line, but you could probably just draw it one line at a time. The sets of lines are a reminder of what to color and what not to color in, so that's why I did it in sets of lines. But you could also just do it one line at a time that zigzags down. But in my mind, I knew that each set of the 2 thinner lines were going to become one thicker line anyway, so I just drew it like that. And then I'll fill this in with the thicker Sharpie. And now to make this drawing a little faster, I'm going to draw multiple tick marks at the same time without moving my ruler. And this is another method you can use, is to just go along each row instead of going one zigzag at a time. And this way was much faster. So I'm just going to connect those tick marks diagonally and keep my ruler at about the same angle so that all these lines are parallel or roughly parallel, and just use the tick marks to space them out the way I want to. And then I will turn my ruler to get the diagonal lines on the next stripe of guidelines. So if the ruler doesn't line up with the guidelines exactly, it's more important to get the Sharpie lines to line up than for the guidelines to line up. So focus on those, but at the same time try to space it out evenly. There were a few times where I kind of broke the pattern a little bit by changing the angle, but I think using the ruler will help keep it consistent, but it still leaves room for human error, definitely. And I'm just going to add another row and keep going down my paper, turning my ruler and going in the opposite direction each time. And I'll add another row in the other direction and make sure they connect. And I'm just going to repeat this method of making one row that is diagonal in one direction and one row that is diagonal in the other direction, going all the way down my paper. I decided to try to fill the paper, although I kind of gave up after a while. That's kind of the reason this drawing took me about an hour. Chevron doesn't really take that long. It's just I was drawing such a big pattern. Mostly so that it would be easy to show on camera, because I have freehanded it before, but it's not as precise. I thought this looked a little cooler to do it with the ruler. So then after I have drawn all the guidelines, I'm going to fill in every other zigzag. I start coloring each one in by going along the edge and then going towards the center. And sometimes I would have to go over the edge a second time in case I went over the guidelines just a tiny bit. It smooths it out. And I start by going over it with my marker more vertical, but then as I fill in the center, I angle it more to fill it in faster. And some of this video is going to play a little bit faster than I colored in real time, just because, like I said before, it took me about an hour to do this, and I don't think you want to watch an hour worth of drawing Chevron. Unless you do, let me know in the comments. But I want to try to keep this video around 10 minutes long. That's what I've been averaging lately, which, by the way, I would like your feedback on that. Is 10 minutes a good length? Would it be better to be a little shorter and faster? Or would it be better if I made the video not play as fast and went longer? I think it also depends on what I'm drawing. So now I'm just going to erase my pencil marks and just do this a lot more slowly than the video is playing so you don't rip your paper. And there's the final drawing. If you enjoyed this video, please push the like button and comment below if there are any other patterns that you would like to see me draw, such as maybe zebra stripes or something like that. I'd love to see what you would like to learn how to draw in one of these videos. And please subscribe to my channel, Variety Girl 1, for more how to draw videos. Thank you for watching.